We are here at this gorgeous new facility, Formula K Benoni, to witness the Rotax Max Challenge African Open, and we'll be going straight into the Micromax. Keegan Beaumont on pole ahead of Regile Spice. Just behind them, Keegan Martin in third and Vian Bosch is in fourth, with Joshua Moore rounding out the top five.
Front rover grid to start with. 3 races between you and a ticket to go to Portugal.
I'm feeling good. We had good pace all weekend. The race 1 and race 2 is just like a quali for race 3. Qualifying is just like another practice. It doesn't really matter, and yeah.
But it's all about that last race, and it's all about where you start the last race. So it's best to start on the front row, eh?
Yes, it's very good to start on the front row in the final heats. It gives you a good shot at the tickets, and yeah.
Spice! 3 races between you and a seat to go to Portugal.
Yeah, 3 races left. If I come second and there's 1 more left, if I try past someone and it's risky, you don't need to force to go, so I'll just leave it and see, and I'll go to Portugal if I come second.
You like the circuit?
Yeah, the circuit is nice. My best circuit ever. I love it, and yeah.
Qualifying done and dusted.
Yeah.
3 races. How are you going to handle the rest of the day?
It was quite good. We did a quite good time, got a good toe, and the next few races, gonna see how it's gonna be. I'm not too sure where I'm gonna qualify, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's hope we get some good times in, and yeah.
It's all about that last race. Is it all playing it safe in the first 2 and then making a big charge for that last race?
Yesterday was quite good, the last race. Got bumped off, but I finished 4th. Today, last race, I'm not too sure. We'll see how the track is. Maybe we change the setup a little bit, but I think we're going good quite now.
We head into now race 1. Keegan Beaumont on pole, Spice in second, Keegan Martin from the RS car team in third, with Vian Bosch from Target Racing in fourth. A man we haven't seen up front there is Mohammed Morat, but that because he had a puncture in qualifying. So look to see that plain white card moving up the field. Just behind them at the moment though is Joshua Moore as they head into turn 3, and there he is, Mohammed Morat from the back of the grid, up into 6th place already. But the fight going on at the moment is Keegan Beaumont on Spice for the lead, and Keegan Beaumont and Keegan Martin and that of Vian Bosch for 4th. This has allowed a lot of moving and shaking. Wadey down the inside of Joshua Moore, and Morat right onto the back of Keegan Martin. Keegan Martin only 6 months into the sport at the moment, mixing it up with the front boys, but Mohammed Morat, a very, very experienced driver and used to having to do some racecraft and do some moves to get himself into the field or get up into the front. So he's right up there now, a very aggressive driver himself. Will be looking to stick it down the inside early, and as I say, there it is, down the inside of Keegan Martin he goes. Keegan tries to get the cutback done, but unfortunately bogs the cart, and he's lost a couple of car lengths on Morat. That could have been, that is a bit of a problem for Martin. He could have used Morat to get onto the front, but unfortunately he's lost a couple of car lengths and loses 1 more through the corkscrew there. But at the front, it is Spice with Keegan Martin, and Spice definitely looking racy at the moment. There is a Talon, and Talon in the Formula K, also with Target Racing, also only 6 months into it. So a lot of new drivers and a lot of new faces we hope to see more of in the future. But at the moment, it's all about Keegan Beaumont, the former Northern Regions karting driver, now racing in the Western Province, out in the lead in his Brillat.
Yeah, and of course he's got Spice, Riachile behind him, and the 2 of them are pulling a bit of a gap, which will make it difficult for Murat to get to them. We had a national championship a few weeks ago where Caleb Woodendal, the Eastern Province guy, surprised everybody by beating Reese Quirson in the last race on the last lap to take the championship. And these guys were all in that mix in the top 3 and top 4 for the championship. Keegan Beaumont really is bringing it to the front this year, and looking like somebody that can win races.
Yeah, Keegan was a bit of a tail ender when he was racing the northern regions. Went down to Cape Town, and obviously the Cape Town air has done wonders for him because he's come back from the Western Province. Definitely a contender, especially in the National Championship as well. So the Cape Town circuit doing wonders for him as we have a look at Mohammed Morad getting past Vian Boshoff for that third place. The three of them have got a lot of work to do, so if the three of them get tucked into each other, they can maybe push each other onto this group, and hopefully no fighting happening between the three of them, because that'll allow them to catch the front group if they stay nose to tail like this. If they start fighting, it's going to be a difficult one to do. A bit of a mistake there from Boshoff, though. He's lost a bit of ground on Mohammed Morad, and that will make Keegan Martin just behind him there in the RS, looking to get past, maybe thinking, oh, big move there from Spice to get past Keegan Beaumont. It was a late dive, and unfortunately it's lost Keegan a lot of time on Spice and is dropping him into the clutches of those three carts behind him chasing. The three IPKs, we've got the Praga, the Formula K and the RS, all three of those carts from the IPK stable, well represented there in this Micromax class, chasing down the Praga of Spice and the Brill Art of Keegan Beaumont. Keegan Beaumont racing with the Brill Art South Africa team on that Brill Art chassis. He has done very well throughout the year in both Kid Rock and Micromax, so it's nice to see him up in the front, and definitely a dark horse to take this African Open win. Everybody pegging Mohammed Morad and Spice as the favourites, but I think definitely an outside chance there for Keegan Beaumont. Heading into turn 2 though, it looks like Spice has got the pace over Keegan. A little bit of a shake of the head from Keegan, maybe he's a little bit hard done by that move that was done on him, but Morad also showing a great change of pace. He's doing 13.4s at the moment. First regional of the year, the quickest was a 14.9 or a 15.1, so they've taken a second out of what was the quickest here at the circuit, and a great time for Mohammed Morad to move himself onto the group. Here we are now onto the group. It's Spice, Keegan Beaumont and Mohammed Morad. Just behind them though, it is Keegan Martin and Vian Boshoff as they head into the first of the hairpins, down into the second, and then into the second half of the lap. A little left-hand sweep joins the two circuits, and it's going to be Mohammed Morad looking down the inside. He's going to do it here, or do it where he passed Keegan Martin early on in the race. He's right on the bumper of Keegan Beaumont. Hard on the brakes they go. He's looking for a way past, unable to do so just yet, with I think 3 or 4 laps left to go in this race. It's still anybody's race between these three. 2 laps left to go. It's anybody's race still between these three protagonists at the front at the moment. Spice though with a 2-car length gap, but with these Micromaxes in the long straight, that 2-car length isn't worth much with a slipstream, so you'll see these drivers are right on the back of each other into turn 1 and then into turn 2. Keegan looking all over the place. Down the inside goes Mohammed Morad. He's going to have the inside for the right-hander, but Keegan chops his nose off there, so not able to get the drive was Mohammed Morad through the flick flag, or through the change of direction, and it's going to be a massive dice to the finish between these three drivers, and I think these are going to be the 3 drivers we see dice for the win of this, the 2020 African Open. Vian Boshoff in the background there getting a bit of a gap on Keegan Martin, but it's definitely going to be a 3-way race unless Keegan Beaumont just lifting the flap there, so obviously engine up to temperature. It's now time to chase these motors, obviously making more temperature, getting a little bit hotter running nose to tail like this, but Spice still got that 2-car length gap on that of Keegan Beaumont as they head into the final lap of the race. Spice looking for the flap there just to cool the motor down. I see Mohammed Morad's been open for quite some time as we head into the final lap of this race. Through the corkscrew they go. Still a bit of a gap between Spice and Keegan Beaumont through the right hand flat out sweep. This is where we see the gaps close. Slipstream is worth quite a bit as Keegan Beaumont, he doesn't have to do much to get his head behind that steering wheel, but Mohammed Morad almost bent over twice there. Oh, contact between Morad and Beaumont. Beaumont still giving him a bit of an intimidation swipe there as well. That was a little bit heavy there from Mohammed Morad to get past Keegan Martin, forcing him slightly wide, and Beaumont not happy about what was done there, but it has allowed Mohammed Morad to get past on Keegan Beaumont, and as they head now into the hairpin, a little bit of aggressive driving between the two of them, but both of them stayed on the circuit, so I think that can be called definitely a racing incident. Mohammed felt he had the inside line and was definitely going to take it from that of Keegan Beaumont.
I see Spice's nose cone is pushed in. I wonder if he is going to get a penalty for that, because a nose cone penalty will definitely drop him down to third.
Having a look at that nose cone bounce around as he goes over the bumps. It's definitely pushed in, so he's got the lead of this race. It is the final lap. He is going to finish ahead of Mohamed Morat, but that nose cone is very much pushed in, so it's a 5-second penalty. So whether or not he drops down to 3rd or 4th remains to be seen, but as they head through the final corner, he will take the win on the circuit. But with that nose cone penalty, it will be Mohamed Morat that will take the win ahead of Keegan Beaumont, and Keegan Martin taking out 4th. So that's confirmation of that. Spice got a nose cone penalty, dropped himself down to 3rd. Martin takes 4th ahead of Wadley, and unfortunately we lost Björn Boshoff on the last lap. Into race 2 we go now. This is lap times of the race, puts you in your grid slot. They get going on the start. Keegan Beaumont almost getting himself a tramline infringement penalty there, but was clever enough to put himself back into the tramline and actually take the whole shot of this race. In 2nd is Spice. In 3rd place, a great start from Keegan Martin, moving himself up into 3rd ahead of Björn Boshoff and Mohamed Morat. So Mohamed Morat having a shocker of a start, going from what looked like 2nd on the grid down to 5th behind Björn Boshoff. Jordan Wadley finding a little bit of time. He's had to get himself wrapped around this circuit, and he's obviously struggled with it, but he seems to be finding himself a little bit of pace now here in race 2. Spice not wasting any time, wants to get to the front. If you can't get a nose cone penalty if there's nobody in front of you, correct? So Spice getting himself up into the front and making sure he doesn't make the same mistake he made earlier and getting himself that nose cone penalty. Mohamed Morat already passed Björn Boshoff, now up into 4th and chasing down Keegan Martin. Keegan Martin 6 months in the game and already fighting for honours in the podium, or fighting for podium places, but Keegan Beaumont was going to make a move there on Spice, thought better of it, and that has allowed the whole group back into the fray here, and it's going to be a run down the main straight. You'll see how big of a slipstream is available here. A little bit slower out of the right-hander was Keegan Martin. Zach can allow Mohamed Morat to pull into his bumper. As we talk about the slipstream though, it's a Beaumont through into the lead ahead of Spice, and it's going to be a Morat right on the back of Martin. Martin getting racy there, looking to get himself into the front in the race 2. So another dark horse or contender has joined the party for the 2020 Africa Open honours, and that is Keegan Martin. Not a kid we thought we'd see up in the front. Oh, contact between himself and Morat. He's looking for... Oh, Morat takes advantage of that weave from Martin, sticks it down the inside, and unfortunately that drops Martin from 3rd place to 5th. Maybe I shouldn't talk about him so much. I won't curse him.
Yes, the entire season, Micromax has delivered race meeting after race meeting, some of the best racing, the closest racing. We've seen guys, 4, 5, 6 of them fighting for the lead at almost every race meeting. And here, once again, at the African Open, we've got 6 guys under a blanket, dueling it out for the win.
Yeah, we say 6 years. Jordan Wadley just joined the party at the back there. We saw him find a bit of pace in the first heat. He's definitely found a bit of pace here in the second heat, and is now putting the pressure on that of Keegan Martin as they head down the main straight. Keegan Martin losing a little bit of time on the rest of them down that main straight though, but he does seem a little bit quicker through this segment of the track. But it's Keegan Beaumont at the moment taking the lead from Spice, and just behind them the hard charging Mohamed Morat. Mohamed definitely not one to sit back on his laurels and watch a race. He'll definitely want to get in and get into that fight, but it's Björn Boshoff and Keegan Martin getting into a bit of an argy-bargy as well, so they seem to be losing time now on the front 3 as Keegan tries to stick it down the inside there. You'll see them lose even more time. Yeah, now up to like 2 car lengths gap at least between the 3 of them, and it's going to turn into a bit of a 2-group race here in the Micromax. But the front group is where we want to be focused on. It is Mohamed Morat, Spice and Keegan Beaumont battling it out, but Keegan Martin is still looking for a way past on Björn Boshoff, unable to do it through the second hairpin, and Björn Boshoff actually slowing Martin down and keeping him off this front pack and this fight for honours in race 2. Spice getting past Keegan Beaumont there, and it has allowed him to drop back into the clutches of Mohamed Morat. This is where we've seen a lot of moves throughout all these races, is down this main straight, and it looks as though Björn Boshoff very strong here as well. He's caught on to the front group in this section, but as they come... Oh, Morat! How did Spice go from leading this race down to 3rd in one corner? And all of a sudden, Björn Boshoff and Keegan Martin back in the fight here for honours in race 2. So I can't speak too soon. I did say we'd see 2 groups, but clearly I was very wrong there. And it looks like we're going to see these 5 fight it out for the win until the last lap.
Yeah, Mohamed Morat very keen to take some trophies away in his last race as a Micromax driver. He's like the old man of the class here. You know, we all joke. He's been in the class, I think, for 3 years, and he is reached the age where he has to move on to Minimax next year. And a lot of his other kids have still got 2 or 3 years left here. Caleb Oudendal, who joined here as a 9-year-old, is 2 years younger than all of his guys. He won the national championship. Beaumont's still a youngster. So, yeah, Murat wants to win in his last race in this class.
You can see how hungry he is to win. He's all over the back of Keegan Beaumont. He's ready to make the move into that corkscrew, but Beaumont just a little bit wise to it. We'll probably see a move here down the main straight. This is where he got past Regile. So let's see if he can get it done. He goes to the outside. He's going to run around the outside of 1 and into the inside of 2. A big shunt there from Spice into the back of Beaumont. That pushes him wide. That's going to allow Boshoff down the inside as well. Maybe Martin as well. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, Martin through as well. So Keegan Beaumont gone from the lead of this race down to 5th place in 1, maybe 2 corners, sorry. And they head now into the hairpin up towards the middle part of the circuit. Beaumont down the inside though of Martin as they head up there. We didn't quite see the end result of that, but it's definitely been Beaumont through 6 out of 8, 2 laps to go, and it's Mohammed Murat in the front, just ahead of Spice. Then behind them, Vian Boshoff and Keegan Martin. These 4 very, very close together and just waiting in the wings. Oh! Big slide from Spice as he tried to get around the outside of Mohammed Murat there. He was having none of it, and it looks as though Keegan Martin was looking for a way past at the same time, and that has just allowed Keegan Beaumont and Martin back into the fray of things here. Vian Boshoff moving himself up into second ahead of Spice there through turn 2s and 3. They head up into the hairpin. Boshoff going defensive. He's going to keep Spice off the back of Murat and giving Murat a bit of a gap towards the latter part of this race. It's up to 3 car lengths. That is hard to catch in a class where they are all running within 0.2 of each other. So a gap like that is going to be difficult to charge down if these four don't settle down and get their heads down. Mohammed Murat going to build himself a nice little cushion to take the win here in race 2. Remember, it's the points between race 1 and 2 that determine the starting position for the final, and Mohammed Murat securing himself a pole position by winning out the first heat and more than likely winning out the second with only a quarter of the race still to go, or a quarter of the lap, still to go. He's got this hairpin and the corkscrew to do. He's got the gap over Spice. He's definitely not going to be able to get onto the back of him. We looked at that hard head down like as if your helmet's going to help you a couple of k's hour faster if you transfer that weight. But it does look as though Mohammed Murat is going to take victory here in race 2 ahead of Spice and Keegan Beaumont. Vian Boshoff will come across in 4th with Keegan Martin in 5th and Jordan Wadley in 6th. But a great race between all these drivers, and there we have confirmation of it. It's Mohammed Murat in 1st ahead of Spice, Keegan Beaumont, 4th Vian Boshoff, 5th Keegan Martin, 6th Jordan Wadley, 7th Joshua Moore, and an 8th Talon Patel. Into the final we go now. All 5 of our drivers there on the grid. With the 5 we know can go for the win. Vian Boshoff a little bit further back because of that race 1 mishap coming into the pits just a lap early. But as we head into turn 1 now, there are 4, maybe 5 abreast. That is Mohammed Murat that finally gets the whole shot. He's been looking for that all weekend, and he's out into the front ahead of Spice. And just behind that though, it looks as though Vian Boshoff has gotten past Keegan Martin and Keegan Beaumont and dropped Keegan Beaumont into 4th, just into the clutches of Keegan Beaumont in 5th. Jordan Wadley showing some pace. He's moved himself right up onto the group with Joshua Moore just behind that. So a lot of these drivers spending a little bit of time in with their engineers and with their driver coaches, looking for all the time they can, and it's definitely brought them onto the front group. That's where you want to be in a final. Anything can and probably will happen, especially at an African Open where it's a winner-take-all final race.
What is the difference between a car being switched on early in a race and it's being switched on late in the race in terms of the tires and stuff? How do you achieve that?
So in karting, it's not as easy as what one might think, because there's so many different aspects. So you've got to get your tire temperature up to spec so that the chassis starts working early on, and at the same time your jetting and your fuel ratio, making sure that that's correct so that the motor's running at its optimum temperature when it needs to and when the tires are switched on. So it's balancing your tires with your jetting to either be switched on earlier on the race and try and make it last, or switched on too early and have it dropped off towards the end, or possibly have it switch on at the end but maybe too late that the rest of the group has gotten away. So it's a bit of a I wouldn't say a gamble, but definitely an educated guesswork as opposed to an exact science. But at the moment, Keegan Beaumont, someone who's got the defensive driving down almost to an exact science, moved himself up into third and managed to hold Vian Bushador for long enough that he can hopefully start putting on a charge to get onto the front two here of Mohamed Murat and that of Spice. But it looks as though Vian Bushov not letting that happen too easy. These three just need to take it easy and follow on. They don't need to start charging on early, but Vian Bushov seems to be holding up Keegan Martin at this time. So down the inside goes Keegan Martin. Whoa, Vian turns in hard onto the front end of Keegan Martin and then still shows him a hand, wondering why he's trying that. That was definitely a little bit of argy-bargy between the two of them. So maybe Vian thinks he puts it in too hard and Keegan thinking that Vian turned it in on him. So unfortunately a little bit of argy-bargy between those two, and that's allowed Jordan Wadley to move himself up into a 5th spot ahead of Keegan Martin. But Joshua Moore and Enzo Rajuru having a great fight there in 7th and 8th place.
While all of that argy-bargy was happening, these two at the front seemed to be working together, not running defensive lines and pulling away. Beaumont is finding himself a little bit in no man's land, but he seems to be clawing himself back to his front three.
As you say that, I look at the gap now, it's up to 7 seconds between Keegan Beaumont and Murat and Spice. So if Keegan has any hope of catching these two, he's definitely going to have to get his head down and start putting in some stonker laps. We know that Corey Limburg can get a Brillard to go around the track, and we know that GMP can build some decent horsepower. So let's see if we can if that Brillard can get onto the back of these two. Half of the race distance done, and it looks as though Keegan Beaumont fast on the circuit, 112.9, almost half a second quicker than anybody else in front of him. So he definitely will close that gap, especially if Spice and Murat start fighting like this with only 5 laps of the race run. It's half distance, boys. No need to start fighting just yet. And just behind them, the battle continues between Björn Bushhoff, Jordan Wadley, and Keegan Martin for the next group, and just outside of the podium. But as we look at the front now, it is Spice ahead of Mohamed Murat. Whether or not these two are going to fight, or whether the experience of Mohamed Murat is going to show through and he's going to keep pushing Spice away from Keegan Beaumont. You don't want a 3-horse race for a final on the last lap. You would much prefer it just to be yourself and one other, if better yet, just yourself. But I don't think in this Micromax class anybody's going to run away from anybody else. The times are very, very close together, and it looks as though it's going to come down to the wire between these three. We have a look now, lap 7 of 10. It is Spice, Mohamed Murat, and Keegan Beaumont. But just in front of them, it is Johan Nolte. Johan, very much new to Micromax, not lapping anywhere near the times of these boys, and unfortunately will be lapped in this lap 7 of 10. And you can see where the visors are pointing. Every single one of these drivers worried about what's going to happen with Johan. They're through the inside already early. Is he going to slow down Keegan Beaumont? Keegan deep down the inside early on, and looks as though he has capitalized, got past as soon as possible and lost as little time as possible. But the next group to catch them will be that fight between Vian Bushhoff, Jordan Wadley, and Keegan Martin. So I wonder if poor Johan going to be caught up in that bit of a fight. But heading into the last hairpin of the lap before we go into the corkscrew, and it's Mohamed Murat and Spice still nose to tail for the win. It does look like that backmarker hurt Keegan slightly, and he has dropped off these two ever so slightly, and it looks any gap that you lose on the circuit at the moment with only 3 laps left to go is going to be a massive one to climb. But we know that these two are going to start fighting soon as we watch them through turn 1 and turn 2. It's Spice and Mohamed Murat out in front. Just behind them it is Keegan Beaumont, and the gap is definitely closing down. So if Mohamed Murat starts fighting just a little bit too soon, we're going to have a third driver join the party, and that is the pilot of the Brillard kart, Keegan Beaumont. He definitely seems to have the bottom end on these drivers in the latter part of this race, and has been catching a massive amount. Just look at the amount he's caught through that section. So that Brillard kart are well set up for this time of the day and this time of the lap. So it looks like Mohamed Murat, if he wants to get into the lead, needs to do it early. Keegan Beaumont is coming, and is coming quickly.
And at this stage, I think Mohamed Murat must now be aware that Keegan is there. You know, he was sort of just too far away earlier, but now 2 kart lanes back, he must be aware that he's there, and I think he's going to start showing some desperation to get past Spice.
Yeah, you'll see a couple of hands flailing over the fence as the camera pans through. That is the drivers and mechanics, and dads showing them gaps, showing them where they need to be, where they need to go, when they need to push. But now is the time Mohammed Murad chooses to attack. He's going inside through 1. It's outside for 2, but he's made it stick, and that has brought Keegan Beaumont into the fight. It is now a 3-way fight for the win with only 2 laps left to go here in the Micromax 2020 African Open, and this is going to be the fight to the line for these 3 drivers. 1 lap to go, and this will judge who will take the honors here at the African Open 2020 and who will get that ticket to Portimao. 2 tickets available here in Micromax here at the African Open, so 1 and 2 will get a ticket. And it looks as though it's definitely going to be one of these 2 should nothing drastic go wrong, although we have seen finals in the past where 3 drivers go missing on the final lap. That is the nature of a 1 lap last race winner, and it has happened more than once on many occasions that we've lost the front 2 or 3 during the fight on the last lap. But all 3 of them nose to tail now with, I think, what will be their final lap as they cross the start-finish line. So they'll cross the start-finish line now to start their final lap. Only a few corners, 1.6 Ks of track left to decide who will be 2020 African Open champion. We see the 2 pull up. Keegan Beaumont getting a great run. He's going to go all the way around the outside of these 2. These 2 too busy fighting each other, and that's allowed Beaumont through. They're 3 abreast. Murad looking for space. He moves over to Spice just to show him the space he wants in the circuit. Spice sees the movement and backs off. So now Spice went for the lead of the race past Murad and has now ended up in 3rd place. Keegan Beaumont looks as though he'd been waiting for that move all race and drove around all 3 of them into turn 1. They head up into the hairpin now. Beaumont goes defensive. Murad right on his bumper. Keegan moves out to go into the apex. Murad thought about staying in and sticking the dive. He thought better of it. This is where we'll see a pass. No, Beaumont goes defensive early. Murad follows him. He breaks on the apex. Murad runs slightly into the back of him, goes to the outside. He's looking for the way. He goes to close Spice. Contact between himself and Spice. A wheel touch there, and that puts Spice out of the fight for the win. Or does it? Because Murad could be looking for a dive down the inside here. He's got a bit of a gap on Keegan Beaumont. He can't quite seem to get it done. The bottom end of that Broughard looking great up the last part of the circuit. He's got a car link through the corkscrew. You'd have to be a brave man to stick it down the inside there. Murad not close enough. They're going to hit through the final right-hander. It's Beaumont leading out Murad, leading out a Spice as they head down the main straight. The hands are waving. It's Keegan Beaumont taking out the win of the African Open 2020 ahead of Mohammed Murad and Spice there in 3rd place in the Praga.
Yeah, brilliant move of Keegan Beaumont there on the last lap, going into that fast downhill left-hander into turn 1, and he just went past both of them. I called it the move of the day.
Bravery to drive around the outside of both these drivers into a flat-out left-hander at almost 100 k's an hour. From the lighty, he is the youngster. Look how small he is in that card compared to Murad. But it's Keegan Beaumont taking out the win ahead of Mohammed Murad, Rikile Spice, Vian Boshoff in 4th, Jordan Whaley in 5th, Joshua Moore in 6th, unfortunately Keegan Martin down in 7th.
I first have to congratulate you on the move of a weekend on that second last lap.
Thank you. It was tough, but I made it stick, and yeah.
Both the guys you passed still don't know how you made it happen, because they were so busy with each other, and the next minute you were just through. The last lap, when you saw them fighting, did you think, okay, I can get to them? Did you actually did you work on how you're going to get past them?
No, not really. I just knew that I'm going to get the slip down the main straight. I'm going to be able to at least pass one, and yeah, I did it. I didn't know that I was going to get past 2. Yeah.
And the next minute they were fighting for second place.
Yes, I didn't know that they were fighting for second place. I still defended just in case. But yeah.
And now going to the grand finals. Caleb is going there with you. At this stage, we don't know who else is going to be there. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be cool to go and race for the country, and yeah.
And have 72 other guys there waiting.
Okay.